Let's discuss today's MPC decision to cut rates further. I'm now being joined on the news at 10 by the CEO of Financial Derivatives Company, Mr. Bismarck Rewane. Thanks a lot for joining us on the news at 10.
Thanks for having me.
It's good to see you in the chair on a day like this. Usually you go status quo. It was cut in May. What do you call this now?
We call this deja vu. We've been here before. In May, we had a 1% cut, and it was for signaling. This time, the governor of the central bank says this time is to actually stimulate output and control inflation. So let's look at what happened in May. Since May, out of 4 variables, GDP growth has actually declined. It went from 1.8 to minus 6.1. The exchange rate, the parallel market, moved from 460 to 464. It had actually got to 475 and had got back. Inflation went from 12.4 to 13.2, and money supply growth was marginally up. Credit growth also was there, but it didn't have the complete and total impact that was expected in terms of materiality. But let us step back a little bit and look at what has happened, what we say going with the flow. The Central Bank of Nigeria, like its peers, both in Africa and in Europe and the States, so the Bank of England is considering negative rates. The United States Federal Reserve is saying that they will keep rates low at 2023. South Africa has maintained status quo at 3.5, and Ghana was unchanged. However, these countries don't have the rate of inflation that we have. So our biggest problem is inflation. Now we are haunted by what we call a quadrilemma, 4 unpleasant outcomes. Contraction and growth, targeted for the year of minus 5.4. Galloping inflation, 15% is the pessimistic scenario. Unemployment could go as high as 35%. That means 1 in 3 people will be unemployed. And then the currency pressures. Now, this is what we face. The recession is biting harder. We are in a recession because definitely Q3, we're going to have negative growth. So Q2 and Q3. The point is, when are we going to recover? If you look at the graphs shown here, you will find that Ghana is the only one of these 3 countries that is going to have positive growth this year with some luck. So Nigeria is not alone in this. The big thing is that it's inflation. And the central bank governor spent a lot of time talking about inflation and its components. He did allude to the fact that inflation was due to structural rigidities, 1, and 2, supply shocks. But inflation is not a binary choice. It's a question of complement. There's cost push and demand pull inflation. So in this case, look at what has happened. Transport fares have gone up by 8.6% because of the adjustment in petrol costs. Distribution costs are spiraling. Price of flour, in particular, has gone up by almost 2.3% in last week. But money supply growth has already pushed on, and then exchange rate pass-through effect. So everything is combined. So what is the effect? What is this going to do? There's what in economics we call the marginal propensity to consume and to save. For every naira you earn, you spend some and you save the rest. So when you bring interest rates down, what happens is that you discourage savings and you encourage consumption. That itself is inflationary. So the truth is that for every dollar we spend in the country, and forgive me for using the word dollar because we're dollarizing things, 84 cents is spent on consumption and 16 cents is saved. That includes your pension, your compulsory savings as well. But more important is that for every naira spent, 10 kobo is spent on direct or indirect imports. That's what we call the marginal propensity to import. So this move is a correct move in one sense, but the time lag between when you make policies and when you get the impact is much longer. So it is very optimistic to think that, like putting up a switch, that because interest rates have come down, it will automatically translate into more loans, cheaper loans, and output will increase, and then prices will come down.
No, what should they have done in the alternative? Should they have?
No, there was no easy alternative. Yeah. The truth is that they laid a very strong case for bringing down interest rates, a strong case for increasing interest rate, and a strong case for keeping it where it is. So there are no easy options. But the point is that we cannot be too optimistic. And quite frankly, we took a basket of goods between July and now, 10 products. The 10 products, we had 5 of them were flat. And which were the flat ones? Rice, 28,000. In July, 28,000 today because of the flood and whatever it is. Beans, 18,000 in July, 18,000 now. Gari was the only one that came down from 15,000 to 13,500. Yams, yams increased actually went down from 3,000 to 1,000 in the sense that this is the season to harvest New Yam Festival. Now, onions, we've seen a spike in onions from 25,000 naira to 38,000 naira. Tomato stayed flat at 35, pepper stayed flat at 15. But then the protein, which is chicken, has gone up by 25% from 1,200 to 1,500. Turkey is not in season because Christmas is coming in 2 months. And fish actually went up from 1,000, that's mackerel, went up to 1,200. So what are you going to see coming forward? The expectation that bank credit will increase and expand is optimistic. It's going to take time. 2, the World Bank meeting is on 12th to 18th of October. At this meeting, everybody's going to be talking, and that's where you get the endorsement of the World Bank for your programs, including your budget. And also, the World Bank board is going to meet on our power reform financing. That's some things have to happen, okay? Stagflation is here. That is high inflation and low growth. And stagflation is a very rare and difficult phenomenon, and we have to stay ourselves out of it. Inflationary pressures, both cost push and demand pull, will remain here. So the central bank itself, in its statement, said expecting inflation to get up to 14.15%, but we think it will get to 15%. Now, if inflation is at 15% and your interest rates are at 2%, you're having a 13% interest rate inflation differential. It can only bring about additional pressures in terms of your external balance. So that's something that everybody has to be concerned about. The budget will be presented by Mr. President in October, and external reserves will come under some pressure. And of course, the currency will continue to be volatile. But all of these things can be contained and managed, and will be managed. But expectations, we shouldn't think that tomorrow morning we're going to have, uhuru. The truth is that there's hard work to be done, and quite frankly, except you're Houdini, I can't see how any magical fit. So it's going to be a tough Q4. The recovery is going to start sometime in 2021, and
All right. But finally now, you've talked about expectations, and there's no magic wand. You were a keynote. We saw you there at the Kaduna Investment Summit speaking there.
Yeah.
Well, in light of what you've said now, what are some of the takeaways from that particular summit, looking at the announcement today?
Well, the summit is what I said at the summit is that an investment-led strategy is the way out. Consumer-led strategy helps, with that basically you increase consumption. But every time you increase consumption, especially in an economy which is highly vulnerable to exchange rate volatility, you leave yourself exposed. So you have to look at it cumulatively. When you invest, you have a multiplier effect. But people will only invest if they know, one, that there's predictability and stability of currency values, and that you have a path, a way of what we call the real effective exchange rate path, which means that your currency is not misaligned with your fundamentals. And let me close with this comment. Economics is about rational expectations. It's not about emotional intelligence. It's not affection. It is rational. People, it's a science of choice and scarcity. And that is what I think the central bank was trying to communicate in one way or the other. But again, the truth is that next year will be better than this year. Okay.
Thank you so much. Always a pleasure to have you, CEO of Financial Derivatives Company, Mr. Bismarck Rewane. Thanks for crunching those numbers for us on the News at 10 tonight. Thank you.